Hi, my name is Mark, and I come from, I work in Aalborg Forsyning as a project manager for excess heating projects and district cooling projects. Yeah, so a little bit about our utility company here in Aalborg. We supply district heating to 50,000 customers, and we supply district cooling. Right now we have 3 or 4 customers. We supply gas to 6,500 customers, and we supply drinking water to 25,000 customers and treat wastewater for 58,000 customers. Of course, these numbers are, if we look at the consumer side, this will be a lot higher. It will be over 100,000 consumers in this. And we also, produce and sell electricity at our CSP plant. And the CSP plant is called Nordjyllandsværket, and it's one of the most flexible and efficient power plants in the world. It can produce around a little over 400 megawatt of heating for the city, and it's the main supplier of heat here in Aalborg. Approximately 55% of the district heating comes from this power plant. And if we look a little bit about the district heating network here in Aalborg, we have out here is the Nordjyllandsværket, and then we supply over the fjord into the main city. We also have some decentralized island networks, different places where, and then we have where we have placed some gas boilers and some excess heating from a heat pump and so on to supply. So if we look a little bit about the heat plant today, I think, I put this at the wrong side. Okay, I will just hop on. I think it's lagging a little bit here. There we go. All right. Today we have this heat plant where we have the coldest hour here on the left, where we supply close to 600 megawatt heat to the city, and then we go as the hours progress. We have the warmest hours during the summertime out here. As we can see here, we have right now we have the waste incineration plant where we burn the waste from within Aalborg, within the city of Aalborg. And then we have some industrial waste heat. This can be everything from small supermarkets to large industrial companies, which supply the rest of our base load. And then when around September, we turn on the coal-fired power plant, and then it provides the necessary heat for the remainder of the year, of the season. So right now we have about 15 to 20% surplus heat in our net, and then the same amount of waste heat, and then approximately 55% coal, and then a little bit of gas in the peak hours. So if we look a little bit about the heating demand here, we can see that during the summertime we are pretty much covered by excess heat and waste incineration. And that's also one of the problems why we are. I also participate in this project. It's because for the district cooling sites, it's very hard for us to utilize the excess heat in the district heating network in the summertime, which then requires some different solutions. So if we could make, if there was some way that we could use this excess heat to cool in the industries or buildings in the summertime, it would be very beneficial for us, especially as we look into the future. Right now we are building a seawater heat pump of 177 megawatts, and it's probably ready in the end of 2026, the start of 27. Then we are ready to test it. Then we have the electric boilers, which are just being tested right now. We have 3 electric boilers of 150 megawatt. And together with this, we have built 4 large storage tanks with a capacity of 200,000 cubic meters. Where, as Bertil mentioned, where we are trying to utilize these fluctuations in the electricity prices. Then we also have a wastewater heat pump of 6 megawatts. So if we look into the future, if you remember the heat priority plan we had before, we are looking into a very different future here. We have a lot of waste heat from different industries that are coming in. We have some potential peak power to X. We have some carbon capture projects. We have some different projects where we are actually looking into that over 80% of our heating demand are being met by either waste incineration or excess heat. So we are looking at a seawater heat pump maybe running from October, November until March, and then we can utilize this excess heat. As I mentioned, then if we could use this waste heat, so I think these companies will be very happy to that we utilize this heat probably to provide some cooling in the summer. That would be a very beneficial business case. Yes, and to talk a little bit about the district cooling systems that we have right now. We have one that is supplying cooling to the large super hospital, who is almost done being built now. I think they are moving in this month and trying the full scale test this month as well. We are right now have a contract to deliver 7.3 megawatts of cooling from this limestone lake that we have a heat exchanger, and then we send it into a cooling central where we both have the chillers and heat pumps. So if this lake is cold enough to supply the hospital with cooling, then we would just bypass this cooling central. But however, during from July until October, this lake will be too hot to meet this temperature demand by the hospital. Then we turn on the mechanical heat in here and cool it down to the needed temperature. It has a pretty good yearly efficiency of an seasonal system energy efficiency ratio of between 22 to 30. We have calculated that it reduces the CO2 footprint by 500 to 700 tons of CO2 a year. So if we look at it here, you can see here that we have the big limestone lake here, and then we have the heat exchanger central, and then we have a very long district cooling network going out all the way through the eastern part of the city out to the hospital. And then we are also looking into maybe a potential expansion of this to get some office building and maybe university buildings coupled on to this district cooling network as well. Then we also have a district cooling central in IKEA. This is more a smaller district cooling or a decentralized district cooling plant where we have 1 megawatt of cooling installed in heat pumps, and then it can also provide 1.4 megawatts of heating. We're sending in 13 degrees, 8 degrees cooled water into to IKEA, and then they're returning it at 13 degrees. This district cooling central can also be utilized as just a heat generation unit where we are a normal air to water heat pump, where we have these energy absorbers that if there's no cooling demand, we can just take out the energy from the ambient air and then provide district heating to the network as well. They can also work in coupled, so if the cooling demand is not that high, then they probably, if they have a cooling demand of 200 kilowatts, then we can take out we can use it as a co-op system where you also utilize the ambient air. And we have looked into, and Bertel has also looked into this in Aalborg, the potential markets for this district cooling. I have mentioned a little bit about it. We have some office building out here and the university in the eastern part of the city of Aalborg. Then we have this large commercial hub in City Syd. It's called City South, where we have a lot of stores that have a potential cooling demand. Of course, there's the city center where there's a lot of office buildings as well as stores that might have a cooling demand in the summer. And then we have in the very eastern part at the harbor here, we have a lot of industries where they have a cooling demand throughout the year that we think are very, very interesting to look into. Here in Aalborg, we are trying to utilize the natural resources we have. So we have a good, right now we have a good project going on with the water department where they are having to clean the water here in Aalborg and they will be needing this water to be cooled down as well. And maybe we could utilize some of it to cool some office buildings as well as just cooling it for the water system. So that's the projects we are looking into right now.